Hello friends, welcome. Friends, we all know that spectrum is lifeline for the mobile industry and operators have been spending huge amount of money to buy spectrum. And because of this high elevated auctions which have been held in past, many of the operators have either gone bankrupt or currently are not in a position to pay up this money to the government. So they are struggling. And because of that, the government, in order to give some relief to the operators, gave within the part of their package a period of moratorium for the operators to stabilize themselves, and then after they become healthy, pay the dues which they have accumulated because of the auction that they have participated in. And then there is one more component which is AGR, which I am not going to cover in this video. Friend, the reason I am doing this video today is that to tell you that in spite of the fact that so much money has been spent by the operators, which is the tune of lakhs of crore, there are huge quantum of spectrum which is either lying free or suboptimally utilized. That is the whole purpose of this video, and we are going to go band by band and explore this and analyze this as to how much spectrum is lying waste or being used suboptimally by public sector units other than BSNL MTNL. That is what we are going to talk about, and you will be surprised to see this data that how much quantum of spectrum is in each and every band which are of importance, especially the low frequency band, which are of extreme importance because those frequency bands carry airwaves further compared to higher frequency band where a lot of capex is required in order to provide a carpet to carpet coverage. So friend, what I have done is I will take help of this tool which I wrote maybe around 1.5 years back, and this is a Python based program which I wrote where I have kept updating as new auctions have happened, and it is updated with the data and band by band, and it has also circle level information. So that's where this tool I am going to use, and I am going to show you that how various spectrum bands are utilized and what are the quantum of spectrum which is lying either waste or suboptimally utilized. So let's go. First band which is 600. First band which is 600. You all know it is lying completely empty, unsold. So let's not talk about it. I have not captured in my application. So I will start with the 700 megahertz spectrum band. Maybe people will already know about this, but just to repeat this for those listeners or viewers who are not aware of spectrum, this video will be very useful for them. Now in 700 megahertz spectrum, if you see this is the band structure right in front of you. So how this band looks like? So what I have done is, because this is an FDD band, I have only taken one portion of the band. The other portion which is lying because in FDD there are two chunks of spectrum spread apart by a block of frequency, and it will mirror. So if I draw the other block of the spectrum, it will mirror this. So there is no point, because you know that as soon as one entity occupies one portion of the band, then the other portion will automatically get occupied. So I don't want to repeat that, right? So here you can see that there are various colors here, right? We can see that this is government, this is railways, this is Reliance Jio, this is vacant and most likely going to railways, and this is BSNL, right? So in this block of spectrum, in this band, how much spectrum is available? 45 megahertz, which is listed here in all the circles. If you see, starting from AP to West Bengal, we have got 45 megahertz of spectrum, total band. Now, out of this 45 megahertz spectrum, how much is utilized by mobile operators, which is BSNL and Reliance Jio? The Reliance Jio is 10 megahertz and BSNL is 10 megahertz. So 20 megahertz the spectrum band is used by mobile operators, and rest of the spectrum band is used by PSUs. And this is also lying free, but most likely it is going to be used by railways, right? Which is 5 megahertz. So the calculation is very simple. 20 divided by 45. So we have got 44% of this, less than 50% of this band is used for mobile operation, for commercial mobile operation, and rest of the spectrum band is used by public sector unit. So this is the story of 700 megahertz band. Now let's look at the 800 megahertz spectrum band. Now 800 megahertz spectrum band was the original CDMA spectrum band, if you recall. The total quantum of spectrum for every circle is 20 megahertz, listed here, right? Starting from AP to West Bengal. It has got various operators. You have got RGO. Then there are vacant spectrum here, which is colored pink. And then we have got some of the spectrum is occupied by government. And then we have got this violet color, which is RCOM spectrum, which is currently under litigation because of the NCLT proceeding. Okay. Now, in order to give you a better picture, what I will do is I will filter out some of the spectrum in order to just show you what spectrum is lying unused. So, which are the spectrum? So, vacant is lying unused. So, I pick vacant. Then I pick RCOM. Then I pick MTS. Then I pick government, right? So, if you add all this, you will find that in most of the circles, except how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 circles, 10 megahertz of spectrum is available, which is lying unused. Maybe the government part is used, but if you add the spectrum for RCOM, which is lying unused, the vacant is lying unused, the government spectrum, which is most likely defense, we have got 5 megahertz in Assam, 5 megahertz in Jammu and Kashmir, 5 megahertz in Northeast. Mind you, defense has spectrum in 700 megahertz band as well as spectrum in these portions, this block of spectrum, right? So they have both places their spectrum. So leaving aside 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 out of 22 circles, you have got 5 megahertz and rest of the circles are 10 megahertz. You can imagine how much amount of spectrum is lying unused. It's almost like 50% of the spectrum is utilized by RGO and rest of the spectrum is unutilized. Now, this pink spectrum, so if I take out RCOM and I take out MTS and I take out government, so this is the vacant spectrum which is available. Now, if you add RCOM and MTS on top of it and you just leave aside the government for the time being, still you will find that lot of spectrum is available lying free, which is unused because RCOM spectrum is anyway not used. So the question lies is why RCOM spectrum is not being used. We have already spoken about it. This is the spectrum band which the government is opposing RCOM to liquidate because RCOM has gone bankrupt. And they are wanting to pay the debtors by liquidating and selling the spectrum, and government saying that you can't do that because spectrum belongs to us and you cannot trade on spectrum just like that, and you have to pay the due first and then we'll decide what to do. So because of this, imagine that how much 800 megahertz spectrum is almost 50% of the band actually is kind of getting wasted, right? So this is the story about 800 megahertz band. Now let's go to the 900 megahertz spectrum band. In the 900 megahertz spectrum band, again I am going to do a simple filtering. This is 25 megahertz of spectrum, and what I am going to do is I will filter out railways, I will filter out RCOM, then I will filter out Aircel, I will filter out vacant, and then I will, so this is BSNL Bharti government, and then I think rest is fine, right? So you can imagine that if I filter out means I'm just extracting these entities outside and rest of the entities are all hidden here. And you will see that the total of spectrum that is currently being used by either PSUs, right? Or it is kind of non-used and lying vacant. Now railways have been given spectrum in 700 megahertz band. So there is no point in railways holding this particular spectrum. The government has spectrum in 700 megahertz band and some spectrum in 800 megahertz band. So what is the point in government holding this block of spectrum, right? And then we have got the RCOM spectrum, which is 5 megahertz of spectrum in HP and Madhya Pradesh, held on account of the NCLT case where DOT is not letting this spectrum to be made available in the public domain for use. Okay, the litigation is going on for a long period of time. I don't know how long this spectrum is going to lie waste. So this is the story of, so you can see that roughly around how much, maybe depending upon which circle you do, it is around 10, 20, 25% of the spectrum band out of the total 20 megahertz, I think 25 megahertz is lying waste. Now let's talk about the 1800 megahertz spectrum band. Now 1800 megahertz spectrum band, again I'm going to do the filtering, and you'll see that I'll check out vacant, then I take out RCOM, then I government, and then I take out Aircel, then we take out Aircel R, Aircel unlicensed, and then I see that rest of the spectrum is MTNL, yes. So if this is a total 75 megahertz of spectrum band. In the 75 megahertz spectrum band, you can see that this much amount of spectrum is either used by PSU units or lying vacant. And this is also being used by government. So government is having 1800 megahertz spectrum band, 900 megahertz spectrum band, in some blocks 800 megahertz spectrum band, 700 megahertz spectrum band. And then we have got Aircel here holding in Tamil Nadu, and these blocks of spectrum Aircel is holding. And then we have got RCOM in slices here and there, right? And if you have Aircel unlicensed also being not being released and unlocked. So out of the 75 megahertz spectrum band, you will find that roughly between 30 to some places it is as high as 42 megahertz. You see, in some places as high as 30 megahertz. So if I do the math, you'll see that if I say 40 megahertz out of 75 megahertz, you'll say 53% of the spectrum band is lying waste in some circle. In some circle it is 30 megahertz. Then it is how much? It is around 40% of the spectrum band is lying waste. Okay. So this is the story of 1800 megahertz spectrum band. Then comes the 2100 megahertz spectrum band. So let's look at the 2100 megahertz spectrum band, and I'll do this, follow the same principle which I am doing. I'll just filter out Aircel. I'll filter out government. I'll filter out vacant, and then we have got RCOM. So if I do this, you will find that the total spectrum band is 60 megahertz, out of which how much spectrum we are kind of wasting or suboptimally utilizing. This is again government. So government is having spectrum in all bands. I don't know what they are doing with this spectrum. Every band they are having spectrum, 2100, 1800, 700, and then in 900, in 800 in some circles, so much spectrum that they are holding. So the government has to do some audit and get this spectrum in these crucial bands out. And then if I take out government from here, so let's just take out government and only talk about Aircel, vacant and RCOM, still there is a lot of spectrum band. Let's take the vacant also out so as to give you the implication of the NCLT case. So imagine that how much spectrum is RCOM and Aircel is holding in the 2100 megahertz spectrum band, which is not getting used, right? You see the implication of this. Imagine the implication of. Then we go to the so 2100 megahertz spectrum is over. 23 is fine. 23 is probably the most efficiently utilized spectrum band, because except for, I think this is the government part. There is government here, but you have got RGO, you have got Bharti, and then there are some slices of Vodafone Idea, and then some spectrum is lying vacant, but still it is more efficiently utilized. Then let's go to the 2500 megahertz spectrum band and look at the story of 2500. And this is the most unfortunate spectrum band. You can say that this spectrum band was probably the worst spectrum band because of the sequence of event which happened. It was probably the best spectrum band once upon a time. And the story goes as follows. I think many people are not aware of this. Now it has become the worst spectrum band. Okay. Why it was the best spectrum band at one point of time? Before 2010, WiMAX, a technology which was trying to compete with 3G and 4G, was being pushed in this block of spectrum. This is one incident. The second incident is the Devast story. I don't know where any of you probably may not be aware of Devast. Devast was a US company in collaboration with ISRO, was trying to create an integrated service of satellite and terrestrial network together in this block of spectrum. And at that time, 3G auction happened. And the government realized that the spectrum band is very valuable, and there was hue and cry which got created. And therefore, what the government had to do, the government had to fight a litigation with Devast in US courts. And there are a lot of things, some things government has won. But because of this controversy, this whole spectrum band, a large quantum of the spectrum band, which is as high as 195 megahertz of spectrum, has been held unused. Only a portion of this spectrum band is currently being used. Some with Vodafone Idea, some with BSNL, right? And some lying vacant. And government is thinking of, releasing another 20 megahertz of spectrum to further enhance this, which is probably the past of the, which was a package or maybe the effort the government is doing in order to reform spectrum band. But rest of the spectrum is going to keep lying vacant, because out of this 195, 20 plus 20, 40 is currently used not in all circles, and additional 20 if the government gives, still it is going to be a huge amount of spectrum which is going to be lying unused. Okay, this is the story of 2500. And then we have got the 3500 megahertz spectrum band, which is largely utilized, nothing problem. But this is the higher frequency spectrum band, doesn't have so much amount of coverage. So yeah, that is fine if this spectrum band is currently being used to an extent that, we have got spectrum till 3670, starting from 3370. But the story is not complete here, which I have not written. Actually, this spectrum band story is actually much more than what you see in this chart, because this is a very valuable band from a 5G point of view, because all the 5G deployment is here. Now, there is a block of spectrum which I have not shown here, which is from here to here. It is going to go protrude out from the screen. What is that? It starts from 3700 to going up to 4000. Now, there is a 300 megahertz of spectrum which is possible to get unlocked in the spectrum band. We are not able to release it on account of the cable operators. There are certain assignments which the cable operators have, and because of the controversy of altimeters for the airport authority, and they really didn't want this spectrum band to be utilized near the airport, and they were blocking it. But US has been able to resolve it, and their assignment is starting from 3300 till 4 gigahertz. So there is a potential to unlock another 300 megahertz of spectrum where the focus should be. This is the band where the focus should be, not the 6 gigahertz band, because that is a wasteful band for 5G. It can be released for unlicensed operation, but imagine that this band is already constrained from the point of view of coverage. And if you are going to deploy IMT technology in 6 gigahertz band, what kind of coverage you are going to get? It is going to be a complete waste, and you are going to require so much amount of capex that spectrum band cannot be fully utilized. So it is better to utilize this band fully and expand it by another 300 megahertz. And then we have that 26 gigahertz spectrum band, which the operators had taken, and they are not utilizing this spectrum band. Why? Why did you take this spectrum band? Many of the viewers may not be aware of this. They took this spectrum band to reduce their spectrum usage charges, which was roughly between 3 to 4%. I don't know whether you are aware of it. The government charges SUC. Now, what the government decided later at one of the telecom package, they said that from now onwards, in all the auctions, we are not going to charge SUC. Now, the question is that if they had decided at that particular point of time, in one of the telecom packages, they are not going to charge SUC, how the existing SUC charges went down when they bought this block of spectrum, which is huge. Because the calculation of spectrum SUC charges is on a weighted average, and the weights for all spectrum bands are equal. That is the catch. It is not unequal. Like in CPI, we have got all the basket with different weights. No, here all the weights are equal. For example, let's say if you got 10 megahertz of 700, 10 megahertz of 1800, let's say 100, or let's say 1 gigahertz of 2500. So how the calculation will be done? The calculation will be the SUC charge for 800, or sorry, of 700, then on whatever band I mentioned, maybe 2100, which is part of the auction, it was mentioned there, and then the SUC of 2600, which is 0. So let's assume that 10 into, let's assume that it is 5, plus 20 into, let's say, 6. I'm just taking away number. And then here it is, you have got 1 gigahertz of spectrum multiplied by 0, divided by what? All the spectrum together, means 1 gigahertz, 1000 plus 10 plus 10. So denominator becomes so huge that your SUC, which was 4% or 6%, whatever the number was, drops below 1% to a level of, let's say, 0.3, 0.6%, something like that, or 0.4%. So because of this, the operators have locked onto this spectrum band, bought this spectrum band, they have not utilized it, and I don't know when they are going to use it. Okay. So look at the amount of spectrum, 3250 megahertz of spectrum lying unutilized. So friends, now the summary is as follows. 600 megahertz band fully unutilized. 700 megahertz band, out of the total spectrum that we have, only BSNL and Reliance Jio is utilizing, and 45 megahertz we have, and 20 megahertz is getting utilized, rest is unutilized. Then we have got 800 megahertz band, 50% of the band is not getting utilized. Then you have got 900 megahertz band, a significant portion is not utilized, and BSNL is going to deploy 5G in this block of spectrum, which is 5 megahertz, roughly 5 megahertz, 6.2, and it is going to put BSNL into a dead end, and they are not going to have any benefit to deploy in 5G here. Then we have got the 1800 megahertz band. Here also a large quantum of spectrum is lying underutilized or unutilized. And then we have got the 2100 megahertz spectrum band. Here Aircel and RCOM and others have blocked lot of spectrum, and whatever you see is very marginal, which is getting utilized. 2300, still there is a large quantum spectrum which is not getting utilized, right? Then we have got 2500. I told you the story, the Devast story. Almost the whole band is not getting utilized. Then we have got the 3500 megahertz spectrum. Yes, this is the band which has the potential, and because you have created a carpet network which can support this band, so there is a possibility of unlocking another 300 megahertz band. And then we have the 26 gigahertz spectrum band, which is completely lying waste, and the operators have taken this spectrum band to reduce their SUC. So this is the story of spectrum band. Were you aware? Did you know this story? Are you aware of this? So this is the whole point about this video, and this website is completely free. Just pause this video, go, or I'll paste the link of the description, and you can yourself look at these numbers right in your computer, and you can get all the information here, right? This is very rich, by the way. It took me 2 months to develop this website. No, not a perfect tool, because at the time I was learning Python. It's very, very elaborate and long program, lot of data. I can structure it better, and maybe one day I'll find some time to make this data set much more useful, and I'll change the UI and make it more effective. So thanks friends for your time, and I hope that you probably like this video, and I'll come back with a new video next time with a new topic.